Welcome, good morning. My name is Eric Goldman, and I'm a professor of law and director of the High Tech Law Institute at Santa Clara University School of Law. This is a one-off pitch event, a pitch competition that we've arranged specially for attendees of the Works in Progress in IP, often known as WIPIP. And for those of you in the audience from WIPIP, welcome. This is my first chance to say hello, but we have more to say to you over the course of the next 2 days. The reason why we put this event together was to try and give you a sense about how innovation works here in the Silicon Valley. We teach it in our classes, we study it in our cases and in our statutes, we talk about it in policy circles, but innovation takes many forms, and we thought this might give you a flavor of how the innovation discussions occur here in the Silicon Valley. You'll see that IP is an important part of the conversation, but it's only one part. And in some cases, it often gets relegated to the back half of the deck, may not even be in some of the decks that we see today. That's not first and foremost on the minds of the entrepreneurs who are trying to launch their businesses. For me, when I thought about what would give you a flavor of how things go down here in the Silicon Valley, seeing entrepreneurship at its earliest stages, at its rawest form, is really what we do here. This is how the conversation goes. And so we'll see how today's conversation goes, but my guess is this is about the kind of way that, that these kinds of conversations replicate themselves every day, over and over again, all the way up and down the 101. The last thing I want to point out is that today we're going to be gathering a variety of different communities. We're gathering the investors, we're gathering the entrepreneurs, we're gathering the service providers, people like the lawyers, and we're all talking to each other, and that's a common part of a conversation in any kind of successful startup environment. And so this is also a little microcosm of the way that the communities come together to help birth new companies. This event, it could not have happened without several different players to make it happen. I first would like to thank Zero1, not only for providing the space, but for giving us that interesting tour before we got started, a little bit of different slice of the way conversations might take place than we might ordinarily focus on in our normal discussions. Thank you, Zero1, for all the help that you've done to get us here. I want to thank the judges and the panelists for coming here. It wouldn't be an event without you. And I especially want to thank Roger Royse, who I'm going to introduce momentarily, because he really put this all together. We said, wouldn't it be great to have a pitch event? And then we were kind of stumped. Where do we go next? And it turns out Roger said, in kind of the Superman way, with the cape flowing behind him, I could do it. And so he did. Roger is a business and tax lawyer here in the Silicon Valley. He runs his own law firm. He is a repeat player at events like this. So for him, this was a comparative snap. If we had done this, it would have taken us a couple of years and it would have been inferior. So with that, I want to turn the podium over to Roger. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Well, first of all, I want to welcome all of you to Silicon Valley, sort of the center of the technology universe. At least those of us who live here tend to think so. And the first thing I have to do is I have to comment on the irony. When I was in law, I have a group of law professors sitting in front of me now, and I just think of all the time I was in law school, sitting in a crowd and they were standing up talking. And you know, the thing is I always felt really bad about the fact that I sat in the back of the room. And I look at all these empty seats up front. I feel a lot better about it now. So we have put together a pitch event for you today, and knowing who you are and your backgrounds, we've got a really interesting mix of companies here. They're all startup companies, but like I say, this is Technology Valley, and we've got some interesting technologies. We've got people that are in health tech. You're going to see companies that do this new area of transportation tech. We've even got a company that is leveraging the right to publicity, which is something that's been, there's been some legal developments in that area, as some of you know. So you're going to see some interesting things. Social media, we've got a company that has got a very interesting security platform, because security is very important these days. So here's how it works. The pitch is going to be 5 minutes each. Each presenter gets 5 minutes. They go through their presentation. At the end of the 5 minutes, our panel judges ask their questions. 3 minutes to ask questions. I'm going to be cutting people off at the end of 5 and at the end of 3. We're going to stay within these timelines very strictly. Okay, and then at the end of the pitch event, we've got 7 of them. The judges will vote, they'll pick a winner, and the winner gets an hour meeting with a VC, which is a pretty valuable commodity in this valley. So one last thing I want to mention. This is a somewhat public forum. People can walk in and out of these doors. So we've had some recent developments in the securities laws. I don't know if any of you teach that, but because of that, I want to remind the presenters not to mention anything about the security that they're selling, not to mention how much money they're raising. You can take that offline with the judges privately. So no public solicitation of securities. That's a very bad thing to do, okay? Bad things will happen if you do that. So let me introduce our panel. So our panel of judges, okay? So here on the far left panel is Inessa Obenhuber. She's with Seraph Partners here in the Valley. She is a very active, I guess we call you an angel investor. Okay, I got sound problems. Okay now?
Batteries.
All right. Well, I'll just talk loud. And Inessa's focus, I know you're very interested in women-owned businesses primarily, and also technology, and she even does a little bit of entertainment and real estate. So sort of a kind of a more of a broad focus, I'd say.
Not too many things about me.
Okay. Mohanjit Jolly is with Draper Fisher DFJ. It's one of the very big name VCs here in Silicon Valley. Mohanjit, he also has an international focus. A lot of what he does is very international. I know you've been spending a lot of time in China lately as well.
China and India, yes.
China and India. And Dan Miller, and Dan, what's the name of your fund again? It's Cloud River?
Cloud Mobile Social.
Cloud Mobile Solutions. Okay, Dan is with an angel group here, a VC group here in town, and I know you're a very frequent judge at these sorts of pitch events. So thank you, judges, for being here.
Hi, my name is Eddie Godshalk. We change big data, transform big data into spatial data, GIS data, and export targeted lists. The first part, 2 steps of that process, doesn't exist today. We reduce the risk of the real estate investor, banker, real estate agent. And it's many years in development.
What's your go-to-market? How are you going to get to the customers that you're targeting?
Our target market, the optimal, we have many ways, but the best way to do it is a geo-exclusivity to our customer, which SmartZip does by farming, direct mail, target the customer. But we could put our technology on Century 21s for this county or this metro market. They take over the exclusivity. It's a huge advantage to them, and we build our product right for our first customer, and then we go to the other markets. But it just takes a little bit of capital even to go to our first customer because the data's not free. We have a slick prototype we can demo to it, but it needs to be slicker.
Is it B2C or B2B? I mean,
So this is a B2B. Okay. We could be both because we are both. One of the reasons why we want to be both is to get the MLS data, we have to give some of this data away for free. And that's why we have to put it from to a more advanced cloud as well. So it's B2C for some, but our real target is B2B because that's where the money is.
so if I'm a real estate company and I come to you and I'm asking you, so what's the core technology here? So why do you want me to be involved in this platform?
It's data
How would you
visual,
describe it? Yeah.
It's monthly demographics and economics that cover 300,000 markets, large micro markets. And you can help your customer figure out the right target market to relocate or invest or when to sell, and therefore you can make more commissions as an agent or broker.
So what stage are you at this moment? What's your timeline?
We developed a predictive model, but then I found that consumers don't know what blocks or tracks or these local markets are. We've built a prototype of which you could type in address and see the visualization part. And we did the mock-up of adding some of the other data sets, but those data sets, like consumer profiles, cost us funds. So we have to raise funds to buy the data. It's pretty much what we need the data money
How
for.
far are you though from a launch of this, or say just a pilot program with one of these real estate firms that you mentioned?
It's 2 weeks max. because we have the demo working online, which took a long time to put data on maps. No one has data on maps, they have mashups. We have data on maps, which we have that prototype working, so it's moving to the cloud, uploading the new data sets is mostly what we have to do, and test our interface with our customer.
And have you built an app?
App's the easiest thing to do. The hardest part is getting it on the cloud. App is, we're designing our interface so it works on the web, on the tablet, and the phone.
Okay, time's up. Thank you very much. Qwikwire?
Good morning, everyone. So Qwikwire is a payments, billing, and invoicing platform designed for emerging markets. We do cross-border billing. So let's start with 2013. Last year, $15 billion worth of payments went to the Philippines. And all of that money came from 25 different countries. So who's making all that payment? These are payments for mortgage, for car, for rental, any kind of billing that you can think of. So who's making those payments?
Why did you decide to do the property development first?
Property developers is the kind of payment they make is consistent, and it's the same amount every time. And one of our co-founders actually has real experience with real estate, so it's a domain that he understands well, in the Philippines especially.
Because where I'm coming from is we pay our utilities every single day. We don't have to even invest in the property, so I'm just asking you a question from the market standpoint.
Okay. From the market standpoint, there's a real estate boom in the Philippines over the past 5 years. 60% of all the new properties being bought are being bought by Filipinos living overseas. So that is why. And they're sending $5.5 billion every year for mortgage payments. That is the reason why. Yeah.
What do you think the reaction is going to be from the incumbents that are currently being used for this money transfer, the Western Union, Zooms, et cetera?
Western Union, Zoom.com, and if you read the terms and conditions of all these companies, they don't like their platforms being used for business transactions. Their platforms are designed for cash-to-cash transfers. It is possible that they might get into the market, but currently Western Union does not have an online platform that accepts credit cards or ACH for cross-border transactions. They don't do that. It is an unknown. It's really an unknown. They might try to get into the market as well, but currently they're the option right now. So and the market for money transfer is about 450 billion to 500 billion a year. So and it's still growing at 8%. So there's enough room for them to grow in that area.
Actually, Western Union does have a platform where you can send it using your credit card, any payment to any part of the world. I usually send to Russia.
Not in the Philippines.
Okay.
No. I know that because I have studied the countries that, yeah.
Good presentation. One of our partners was an early investor in PayPal, so I'd like to talk with you. I don't know if you can hear me, but how do you plan on reducing the fraud or potential fraud?
Well, we're a white labeled service. We don't open our platform to just anyone, just the businesses we partner with. We're not e-commerce. We're not, aside from there's no transactional, there's a very low risk of transactional fraud. As if I'm doing e-commerce, we have to mitigate, the disputes between customers and buyers and sellers, are saying, oh, I didn't get the package, or he didn't send the right one. This does not exist in billing. It's pretty straightforward payments.
No, but to add to that, I think that's a serious issue you need to keep in mind. So I'm on the board of a company in India where as soon as they opened up their platform to overseas credit cards, the fraud rate was 30%.
That's good.
Right, so in Philippines, I don't know what it's like, but often there are two-factor sort of authentication mechanisms to make sure fraud is close to zero. But that may not apply to overseas credit cards, for example, being used that may not have a one-time password type of a hurdle.
We are fully PCI compliant, and we tokenize all the information as well. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Hello, my name is Snyder. I'm one of the co-founders of Anchor, and we make applications for real estate agents. So let's talk about real estate agents for a second. Let's talk about our friend Realtor Bob. Now, Bob here, he might work for a big brokerage like Coldwell Banker, but he really runs like a small business. You see, Bob's got to take care of his own email marketing, physical mail, client database, client follow-up, financials, website. Bob's got a lot of stuff to do, and he's got to do it all by himself.
Questions, 3 minutes.
So do you have any IP?
No, not at this moment.
So what's going to stop from someone else to copy what you're doing and enter the market space? Someone that may have existing relationship with brokers, say for example.
That could totally happen. You know, this is something we've just developed over 3 weeks, so we definitely have kind of like the next step that we're going to do to help protect us from that. Our next step right now is we're putting information out in front of their contacts right now. So now we're going to start getting information back from that, like who's interacting with them, engaging with them, so we can really give them actionable insights about some people that they might want to start getting in touch with.
And how many users do you currently have?
We have
Unpaid?
about 12 users in different brokerages around the state.
Okay.
And is real estate the only vertical that you're going to target, or is that the initial sort of bowling pin, and then you expand to others as well?
Definitely, that's kind of like the initial area that we started, where we're really experienced with. But you know, we've had a lot of people tell us, "Oh, like this would be great for our business's Facebook page for this industry." It's something that we can really branch out to a lot of different areas and get a lot of different customers on this.
I'd like to talk to you. We have a National Association of Real Estate that's a part of our group, and we have very big brokerages that fund our fund. So I'd love to have a conversation. SF Angels, thank you. We know the space well.
What's the cost for per customer acquisition going forward for you guys?
So right now, it's all going out and doing things like sales presentations at the brokerage offices. So they'll do it every week or two, and we'll be able to get ourselves out, anywhere from between 50 agents to 200 agents at a time. And now we're going to start looking at, our cost of acquisition for our online marketing methods as well, so we can do that, grow a little bit quicker. But really making deals with brokerages so that they can buy, the application for all of their agents would be great as well, because, about 50% of agents actually pay a technology fee for their brokers so that they can offer their agents some of this.
So who is advising you right now? Any people from the industry?
Yeah, so definitely Ryan Gowdy, one of the top agents in the Bay Area, he's helping us out with this. He's really great because he's like a lot of agents, and he's not really tech savvy at all. So if he can use it and he likes it, we know pretty much anybody can get it.
No, I'm not talking about those type of advisors. I'm talking about the advisors who really can help you to roll the product into the market. Do you have anybody like that?
Yeah, we do have someone who's experienced. We have a young Han he's been through a few startups. He's been through 500 startups, and he's really helping us on that side of the business.
Of the $1.5 billion that you talked about that the agents spend, have you done a deeper dive into figuring out what percent of that, or how much of that you could actually target?
That's
$1.5 billion, I'm guessing, is everything, right? So it's a pretty small sliver, I'm guessing, that you could go after.
Yeah, correct. So that's the amount that they're spending on tech. So it's a little hard to get that kind of data. So we're still kind of digging in deeper to find that. And there's also kind of other spending areas as well outside of that that we can get into as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm MacGraham. I'm the founder of TrustCentral. This is my 5th startup. My last one I sold to Intuit. When we started the company, I had the idea of solving once and for all the going paperless problem. It's a big problem. There are tens of billions of statements that need to move from enterprises, primarily financial services, but also others, to consumers every year. Very expensive.
How do you monetize it?
I'm sorry?
How do you monetize it?
Well, we monetize it. Initially, we're going to do what I did in 2 of my last successful companies, which was selling to enterprise either vaporware or major upgrades to existing products. And that's going to be our phase 1 to get out there, and it's going to be a licensed software sale. We have different ways that we can actually monetize it on a per user. Like with a financial institution, if it costs them $1 to put a statement in the mail, and we can make that $1 disappear, we could charge them a transaction for how many statements they do. We could also, by letting them give away it free to their consumers, and then say to their consumers, now they have a privately branded Bank of America application, the consumer does, and Bank of America says, hey, use this to talk to your attorneys or whatever, and they set it up with the attorneys and set it up with other people, and then this other person now has it, and he's being able to communicate securely, cryptographically. Everything's pre-internet encryption, and Bank of America says, hey, if you open up an account with us, we'll send you your statements. Well, he can't get that from Wells Fargo. He's got to go get them from Wells Fargo. So now the bank has the opportunity to acquire more customers through the viral expansion of this within their own customer base and their customer base's friends. So we could monetize that as well. There are a number of ways.
Did you build this yourself, or you had it outsourced?
No, we have, you know, I may be the founder and put out the vision, but the design of this is Dr. Kravitz. I went through 2 development teams to get this done, and he's the one who figured it out. I have a development team right now standing by, ready to start the development. We'll roll it out. We can have it on the market within 6 months. We have it fully designed. I'm sorry.
So currently it is architected, but
Yeah.
the product itself is not.
Yeah, it's fully designed. We have filed, I mean, for the IP lawyers, we have close to 500 pages of just description filed with the USPTO. So there's a lot to say there's a lot behind this product.
I wonder if you're trying to boil the ocean, perhaps, a little bit while the platform approach and having 18 features gives a notion of a complete solution. How much interaction has there been with your end customers, and even the decision makers within the enterprises who are eventually going to buy the product, in terms of what is crucial versus what's nice to have?
Well, you know, that's a good question, because it seems like there's a lot to it, but again, we're going to sell a secure B2C product. From the viewpoint of a CSO, he needs to make sure that his users can send stuff off with authentication. Okay, what's behind the black curtain, all this complexity with all these components, he may or may not even care about. I'm just saying these are features that compare in the marketplace of people who offer certain things that are valuable in the consumer market. I wanted to have them out there so somebody can say, gee, this company, you know, you look one column there, lots of people offer that. So I just did it for differentiation.
Okay, thank you, man.
Thanks.
Hi, good morning. I'm Nguyen, and I'm a co-founder of ManageUp PRM. So we are a SaaS enterprise personnel and resource management solution for healthcare providers. Our solution improves communication, coordination, and employee engagement so that we can drive up labor productivity and increase patient safety.
Lam, who's your current customer? Did you engage with some of the hospitals or any of the groups yet, or?
We engage with a lot of end users. So our approach is really from a team-based approach and frontline approach. So we engage with a lot of end users to help us to develop the product. And we have been in conversations with multiple hospitals, some, you know, as well as ambulatory setting as well. A couple of them have, you know, huge health systems, but we're talking to one hospital within that, and those are potential beta sites.
So what's the strategy really going and rolling into the market? Because it's a huge,
It is a very huge market, and our strategy is going into specialize in departments first. So we're not going to go into a whole hospital. We're going into a particular departments, like say radiology or oncology. And because department to department of various hospitals actually look a lot alike, versus within its own hospital. So therefore we can replicate very quickly.
I see. Thank you.
So how does a purchase decision get made within a particular department? Because, you know, hospitals are, when you talk about sales cycles, 2 hospitals, they're very long.
Right.
And then, but are you pricing it at such a point, or thinking about pricing the initial modules at such a point that, you know, somebody can make a fairly quick decision to go ahead and pilot it, rather than trying to sell all the way up?
Correct. You know, we understand that, you know, to get a whole hospital adoption just immediately may be hard. So we are going into the department, and this department actually has a lot of power, and they tend to be more silo. So that's also the other thing is to drive up adoption that way. They're very independent in the way that they can make decisions. We would need buy-in from HR. That's probably the number one person. But the people who are really going to be championing for us is going to be department managers and directors.
So do you have direct sales personnel identified or that you can bring in to help you initiate these introductions into the hospital?
Well, both my partner and I have a very extended healthcare experience. In my last company, my whole customer base is U.S. healthcare hospitals.
Okay.
So we certainly do have that connection. We have not yet hired anybody on board to do sales. We're not at that stage yet. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, I'm Hanna. About 2 years ago, when I was still a lawyer, I was driving in a very similar day to this. It's cold, rainy, and I was driving in San Francisco, and I just wanted to stop for a cup of coffee. And I was in a hate. 20 minutes later, I'm still circling the block looking for parking. And I was like, what was a really simple, enjoyable thing to do, getting a cup of coffee, now has turned into this ordeal. And I was eyeing all the driveways sitting there empty. And I said, wait a minute, I would pay $2 to park for 10 minutes to get a cup of coffee. And I bet you a lot of people would do the same thing. So an idea emerged.
How did you generate your initial sales? How did you get the word out?
So believe it or not, we have done zero PR because I'm waiting, I was waiting for the right moment. And so the initial sales, we went and talked to churches. I have a team of college students in San Francisco, and they go and talk to all the churches, all the auto mechanic shops, the funeral homes, and we get the spaces to list with us. And then on the user side, when I go into a neighborhood, we create an ecosystem. So the businesses will tell their customers, check out Spot On Parking. Landlords would tell renters who call in to say, oh, if you need parking, call Spot On. And so there is like this ecosystem where everyone knows about us, especially like in the Mission in NOPA, we're very, very visible there.
So what's the revenue share model with these partners? How does it work?
So currently we do a 70-30, 70 to the owners and 30 to us. We're contemplating changing that model to more like a 50-50 model with a minimum. So, and as we get bigger with more spots, more, our name's more out there, we're probably gonna change it.
And how many spots do you add every week?
We, monthly right now, because we're very skeletal, we add 30 spaces a month.
How do you know that, how does someone know that for sure the space is empty?
So we have enforcement, actually. So the last thing an owner would want to do is, you come home and the driveway is blocked, right? So right now, our users are the best enforcers. So they actually take a picture of the license plate of a car and send it to us. And then we also we spot checks with our own enforcement team. And in the future, we want to crowdsource the enforcement function to the public, with an app. And every time they can tag a car that in our spot, they send it back to us, they get 20 cents or whatever.
So you have a law enforcement team, you have your own team. How big is the team?
10 people, and only 3 full-time.
And what's your monthly burn then? I mean,
We're burning between 50 and 20K a month.
Thanks.
Now this is a market that's ready for disruption,
yes.
But at the same time, there are probably at least half a dozen parking competitors in the city alone. So is this truly a land grab?
It is a land grab, but the parking app business is a very crowded market. I give you that. However, on the left, the people on the left, and there are a zillion of them, they do not create new inventory for parking. The only 3 companies, we are one of them, and there are only 2 other companies that actually create new inventory by using underutilized resources.
That's it. Sorry, time's up. Thanks very much.
Hi, my name is Umida Stelovska. I am co-founder and CEO of PARWINR. So we have built authoring system that allows businesses to create interactive content to the video. So for example, you can create trivia, quizzes, polls, and other game fun game features to the video. So revenue model is like, yeah, please.
So the revenue model is a subscription type of thing?
Currently, we have a subscription-based revenue model, yes, and we have now identified several different markets. We are in the client, company validation, product validation process. We've got two different clients. One is from entertainment, television space. The other one is from training, corporate training. So we are working with both of them. Current technology, actually, like you have an engine, it works. You can run any car, but depending on the market space, we would like to build up the features and target.
So what's the cost per video? So when the company comes, do they use their own footage, or do you create that footage?
You sign up for PARWINR account. In the account platform, we allow you to take the links from YouTube, Vimeo, Brightcove, and other resources, and you just put it in and you create the question and the tasks on the site. And you publish on your website back.
Do you have IP around this product?
The idea is based on a patented idea, yeah. The technology is built on the patented idea. So we've got, it is almost, I told you, 20 years old patent. In early stage, we have also got permission from Michael Jackson to gamify his trailers for learning languages. But at the time, technology was not that far. So now, actually, we started building this technology when a law firm contacted us on an infringing case, so that we found out the idea is now validated in the marketplace.
So how do those brands are monetizing your by using your platform? For example, beauty, you've mentioned Nordstrom, and I see the beauty brand. So how do they monetize?
Okay, the first value proposition is consumer engagement and brand awareness. You can educate the consumer about your product. Second, we have a features you can bring advertising into the content. So it's a advertising based. They can also, for example, I have my client from cooking who has a cooking show for kids. They will be using our platform for educating the kids and the parents about, ingredients, and they bring their advertisers to the place so that.
Just FYI, just ask them to give them a free product next time they're going to be using this platform. It's going to work much better.
Yes. Okay.
So you have a paying client, or is that a test model case?
We have got several, yes, we have got several paying clients. For big clients, we are working for proof of concept currently. Yeah.
And do you think it's small to mid-sized companies or individuals who would use the product, or are you aiming for the large brands?
It's very interesting because this is so valuable in many different markets. So we've got from China, India, from around the world, different companies, like the companies who, I don't know, the Udemy, they sell the courses, right, to students. The type of companies from China just got interested to use our platform. So we are getting many different types of clients approaching us to use this. So depending on, we have done different structure for pricing as well. Yeah.
In the meantime, I want to mention, you probably noticed the cameras here. The presentations have been recorded. You'll find them on our website, Royse University, we call it, royseuniversity.com. We also have a YouTube site, and we'll probably not make this one available as a podcast, but you can certainly access it. On Royse University, we have webinars on technology-related topics. We've done agri-tech, clean tech, life sciences, pretty much one a month on just what's hot and what's new in technology. Bitcoin, 3D printing. We have a blog post, a newsletter, articles, tons and tons of content. So if any of you folks would leave me a card, I can make sure to get you on our mailing list.